The Unforgettable Disappearance of Lena Whitmore, Sandpoint, Idaho, 2002. On a bitter January afternoon in 2002, 17-year-old Lena Whitmore stepped off a rural county bus just outside Sandpoint, Idaho, and vanished into the snow-covered woods. No signs of a struggle, no witnesses, no answers. She was carrying a canvas sketchbook and wearing her favorite green wool coat. The driver would later tell police that Lena thanked him as she stepped into the slush. That was the last time anyone saw her. Sandpoint is the kind of place people drive through, not to, nestled on the edge of Lake Pend-Oreille and hemmed in by the Selkirk Mountains. It's a quiet town of just over 6,000 residents, mostly families, retired couples, and a scattering of artists drawn to the solitude of northern Idaho. It's the kind of place where people don't just disappear. At least, not until Lena. Before we dive in, if you enjoy chilling true stories and unsettling mysteries, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you know when new videos are available. Lena Whitmore was born in 1984 in nearby Coeur d'Alene, but moved to Sandpoint with her mother, Janice, in 1995 after a difficult divorce. Her teachers describe her as soft-spoken but intensely perceptive, a girl who noticed everything and said little. She filled notebooks with poems and detailed pencil drawings of forests, birds, and people she observed but rarely approached. In high school, she was known for helping out in the art room after class and for her fondness for solo walks in the woods behind her family's trailer just off Syringa Heights Road. By all accounts, Lena was quiet, creative, and unusually independent for her age. Her mother, who worked the night shift as a nurse at Bonner General Hospital, trusted her to keep to herself and follow the rules. And she did until she didn't. The final day, January 7, 2002, began like any other Monday. According to attendance records, Lena showed up for her second period English class at Sandpoint High School. She wore a gray sweater, jeans, and the forest green wool coat her grandmother had given her 2 Christmases prior. Several classmates recall her sitting in the back of the room, doodling quietly in her sketch pad during the lesson. Around 1:20 p.m., Lena signed herself out of school early. School staff later told investigators that Lena claimed she had a dentist appointment, but when her mother was contacted, she said no such appointment was scheduled. Security footage from the school's front office shows Lena walking calmly out the main doors alone, carrying her backpack and sketch pad. At 3:38 p.m., she boarded the northbound Route 7 county bus at the Cedar Street stop in downtown Sandpoint. Only 2 other passengers were on board, both regulars and cleared by law enforcement. The driver, Raymond Hall, remembered her clearly. She sat halfway back by the window. Quiet girl. She said she was headed toward Trout Creek. I remember thinking she was young to leave alone, especially with the snow coming in. At 4:12 p.m., Hall dropped her off at the Trout Creek trailhead, about 11 miles north of town. The trailhead was popular with hikers and nature photographers in the warmer months, but in January, it was all but deserted. Snow had fallen the night before, and temperatures hovered just below freezing. No one else was at the stop. Hall watched as Lena walked to the trail's edge, then turned right toward the tree line. She did not look back. She was never seen again. The search. Janice Whitmore reported Lena missing at 8:47 p.m. that evening when she returned home and found her daughter's bed unmade and her sketch pad gone. Initially, deputies assumed Lena might have run away, maybe to Coeur d'Alene to see friends or even Spokane. But by morning, her absence began to feel far less voluntary. Her bank account showed no activity. Her cell phone, an older Nokia flip phone, went straight to voicemail and was never turned on again. There were no emails, texts, or journal entries suggesting she had plans to leave. Perhaps most chilling, Lena had told no one where she was going. On January 9th, the Bonner County Sheriff's Office launched a full-scale search of the Trout Creek area. Dozens of volunteers, cadaver dogs, and a National Guard helicopter combed the snow-covered trails and surrounding forest. They found boot prints that may have matched Lena's leading about a half mile into the trees, but they ended abruptly near the edge of a frozen marsh. No blood, no torn clothing, no dropped belongings. She just vanished, Sergeant Kessler told reporters in a subdued press conference the following week. There's no evidence of foul play, no indication she was meeting someone. No indication she fell or got lost, but it's like she stepped off the trail and disappeared into the air. Theories and dead ends. Over the following months, investigators chased every possible lead. One tipster claimed to have seen a girl matching Lena's description at a gas station near Kalispell, Montana, but security footage showed it was another teenager. Another caller suggested Lena had joined a cult, though no evidence supported the claim. Some residents speculated she had simply run away to pursue an artist's life in Seattle or Portland, but those who knew her best doubted that. Lena was intensely private, but not reckless. She had plans to attend the University of Idaho in the fall, and had even begun assembling her art portfolio. Others suggested something more sinister. Trout Creek Trail wasn't heavily trafficked, but wasn't completely remote either. Just 3 weeks before Lena's disappearance, another young woman had reported being followed by an unknown man near the same trail. He never confronted her, and no description was ever obtained, but raised questions about whether Lena could have been targeted. Detectives interviewed known offenders in the area, including a registered sex offender who lived just 6 miles from the trailhead. His alibi, working a shift at the local mill, checked out. Another man, transient and mentally unstable, was detained briefly in Spokane after claiming he had visions of Lena's whereabouts. That lead, too, went nowhere. Over time, the case grew cold. The sketch pad was never found, and her coat was never recovered. There was no body, no evidence, nothing. Aftermath. By 2004, the search was officially scaled back. Lena's mother, Janice, moved out of their trailer and relocated to Boise. In a rare interview given in 2005, she said, "I wake up every morning and tell myself, today someone's going to call. Someone's going to tell me they found her. And then the phone doesn't ring." Each January, a small candlelight vigil is held at the Trout Creek Trailhead, attended mostly by locals and Lena's former classmates, now adults with children of their own. The case remains open, classified as a missing person under suspicious circumstances. A $25,000 reward offered by a private donor in 2003 remains unclaimed. A particular silence in Sandpoint settles in the pine forest after snowfall. Locals will tell you it's peaceful, still, but for those who remember the winter Lena vanished, it's something else, a quiet that feels haunted. To this day, the question echoes through Bonner County like wind through the trees. How does a teenage girl disappear in broad daylight, less than a mile from a county road? The morning and early afternoon, January 7th, 2002. The day began with clear skies over Sandpoint, but cold temperatures dipping below 15 degrees Fahrenheit. Snow from the previous evening had settled to about 6 inches on the ground. According to school records, Lena Whitmore arrived at Sandpoint High School punctually at 8 a.m., exhibiting no signs of distress or illness. At 8:05 a.m., her English teacher, Ms. Helen Roderick, recalled seeing Lena quietly working at her desk during first period. She was drawing as usual, Roderick later told investigators. Very focused, very still. She didn't say much, just the way she always is. By 9:45 a.m., classmates noted Lena kept to herself in the cafeteria during lunch, but shared a polite nod with her friend, Jenna Mills. Jenna recalled Lena appearing a little distracted, quieter than normal. No discussion of unusual plans or concerns was recorded. 1:20 p.m., early departure from school. The school sign-out log shows Lena left campus at 1:20 p.m., signing out under the stated reason of dental appointment. This was a point of immediate discrepancy, as Janice Whitmore, Lena's mother, later confirmed that no appointment was scheduled. School administrators attempted to contact Janice, who was working her night shift and did not answer the call. Security footage captures Lena walking calmly through the school's front doors, clutching a well-worn canvas sketchbook and a small backpack. She wore a green wool coat with a distinctive patch on the left sleeve, an emblem from a local outdoor club she briefly joined last summer. 2 p.m. to 3 p.m., the quiet hours. From 2 to 3 p.m., Lena's whereabouts remain undocumented. She did not use her cell phone. The last outgoing call from her device was logged at 11:47 a.m., an unanswered call from a local pizza place where she sometimes worked weekends. No messages were sent or received after that. Neighbors near Lena's home, located about 2 miles south of the school on Syringa Heights Road, reported no unusual activity. One neighbor, Mr. Carl Beach, later stated, "I didn't see her come home after school, but the street was quiet. The snow muffles sounds, you know?" 3:38 p.m., boarding the county bus. At 3:38 p.m., Lena boarded the northbound Route 7 county bus at the Cedar Street stop in downtown Sandpoint. Bus driver Raymond Hall, a 15-year veteran, was one of the last known people to see her. Hall described Lena as normal, quiet, polite. She paid her fare with exact change and sat by the window. Only 2 other passengers were on the bus then: a local retiree named Gloria Marks and a construction worker named Bill Harding, who cooperated fully with police interviews. No reports of disturbances or strange interactions were recorded on the bus route. The atmosphere was typical for a winter afternoon: muted conversation and the occasional call from cold passengers. 4:12 p.m., last known location, Trout Creek Trailhead. Lena's intended destination was the Trout Creek Trailhead, located approximately 11 miles north of Sandpoint. This remote bus stop marks the entrance to a series of hiking trails that snake into the Selkirk Mountains. At 4:12 p.m., it was here that bus driver Hall saw Lena step off the bus. A local hunter, Michael Evers, was driving along County Route 95 near the trailhead at roughly this time. He reported seeing a young woman matching Lena's description walking toward the snow-covered trail. Evers recalled that she appeared calm but purposeful, carrying a small canvas bag and the same green coat. He estimated she was about 300 feet from the road, heading north. Evers said nothing seemed out of the ordinary, but noted the cold and snow made hiking risky this time of year. 4:30 p.m. to 6 p.m., vanishing into the woods. From 4:30 p.m. onward, Lena's movements become a void. No hikers or hunters reported seeing her after Evers' sighting. The trailhead showed no signs of activity, no footprints except those of Evers' pickup and the bus tires. Deputies and search teams would later find a single set of boot prints in fresh snow, matching the size and tread pattern of Lena's boots. The prints led about half a mile into the woods before abruptly ending near the edge of a frozen marsh. The prints stopped with no indication of turning or retracing steps. Search dogs were unable to pick up a scent beyond this point, which some trackers described as highly unusual. This suggests that Lena may have been carried away or entered an area that effectively masked her scent. 6:30 p.m., the missing person report. Janice Whitmore called the Bonner County Sheriff's Office at 6:30 p.m., concerned that Lena had not returned home. It was uncharacteristic for Lena to miss dinner or contact her mother, especially given the weather. Sergeant Paul Kessler, assigned as lead investigator, noted in his report, Ms. Whitmore appeared distressed but composed. She provided a detailed description of Lena's clothing and personal effects. There was no immediate indication of voluntary absence. The lack of phone contact heightened concerns. Deputies arrived at the Whitmore residence within 20 minutes. A preliminary search of the home found no signs of a struggle or absence beyond Lena's missing belongings. The sketchbook was notably absent. Initial search efforts and community response. A coordinated search began at first light on January 8th, involving local law enforcement, volunteer search and rescue teams, K-9 units, and the Idaho National Guard. The search area focused on Trout Creek Trail and the surrounding forest. Despite exhaustive grid searches, the only clues remained the half-mile boot prints and a single partial fingerprint lifted from a weathered tree branch near the trailhead, later determined to be inconsistent with Lena or known associates. Residents of Sandpoint rallied around the family. Local newspapers, including the Bonner County Daily Bee, published front-page stories with Lena's photograph and pleas for information. Media coverage and public reaction. By January 10th, the case was generating regional media interest. Local television stations ran evening segments, with interviews from Janice Whitmore and Sergeant Kessler. Coverage emphasized the mystery and baffling lack of evidence, prompting an influx of calls and tips to the sheriff's office. Public speculation grew rapidly. Some feared a predator lurked in the nearby woods. Others whispered about Lena running away, perhaps to escape a troubled home life, despite no evidence. Social rumors spoke of a secret boyfriend or occult influence, unsubstantiated but persistent in local conversations. red herrings and investigative dead ends. 2 leads emerged that would later prove false, but consumed considerable resources. The black pickup truck. On January 9th, a witness claimed to have seen a black pickup truck parked near the trailhead shortly before Lena's disappearance. Police tracked down a local resident who owned such a vehicle, but confirmed he was home all day. The truck owner cooperated fully. No connection to Lena was found. The caller in the woods. A man contacted the sheriff's office on January 11th, claiming he had heard a young woman screaming near the trailhead on the evening of January 7th. A search team found no evidence supporting this claim, and the caller was later identified as a mentally ill individual with a history of false reports. Family and friends, emotional toll. Janice Whitmore described the days following Lena's disappearance as a waking nightmare. Friends and neighbors recalled her walking the neighborhood in tears, clutching Lena's worn sketchbook cover, which had been found discarded near the home days later. A heartbreaking but cold reminder that Lena had left without explanation. Jenna Mills, Lena's closest friend, expressed disbelief. Lena wasn't the type to vanish without a word. She was scared of the cold, of trouble. She never talked about running away. We all still hold out hope she's alive somewhere. Law enforcement assessment. Sergeant Kessler's team focused on eliminating possible causes. Accidental injury. Despite thorough searches, no remains or evidence of fall were found. Voluntary disappearance. No evidence of planning or escape. Foul play. No physical evidence of assault or abduction. No ransom demands or threats reported. Animal attack. Unlikely, as no remains or evidence of scavenging were found. In official statements, Sergeant Kessler said, "The lack of evidence makes this one of the most challenging missing person cases. We continue to investigate all leads and appeal for anyone with information to come forward." The lingering question: why did Lena Whitmore walk into the cold woods that January afternoon and never return? What happened beyond the last sighting at the trail's edge? No answers yet, only shadows. Nearly 2 decades after 17-year-old Lena Whitmore vanished from the snow-laden Trout Creek trailhead near Sandpoint, Idaho, her disappearance remains one of the region's most haunting mysteries. No definitive explanation has emerged despite exhaustive searches, interviews, and investigations. In this segment, we will examine the most plausible theories proposed by law enforcement, family members, and local observers, each grounded in fact, yet marked by the frustrating absence of conclusive evidence. Theory 1. Abduction by a stranger. Perhaps the most unsettling possibility is that Lena was a victim of an opportunistic or targeted abduction. This theory gained some traction based on the following. The abrupt end of her boot prints in the snow near a marshy area suggests she may have been forcibly carried or moved. The previous report, 3 weeks before her disappearance, of a woman being followed near Trout Creek Trail, hints at a possible predator operating in the area. The trailhead's isolated nature in winter would have offered a near-perfect setting for an unseen assailant to strike without witnesses. Law enforcement has investigated known offenders within a 20-mile radius of the trailhead. None were conclusively connected to Lena, but the absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Sergeant Kessler has publicly stated, "We cannot rule out foul play. If Lena was abducted, her disappearance was likely swift and silent. Unfortunately, we have no physical evidence, no witnesses, no vehicle, no crime scene, just an empty trail." Supporting observations. The fingerprint on a nearby tree branch did not match Lena or any known associates, so it could not be definitively linked to a suspect. Multiple tip lines received calls from individuals claiming knowledge of a suspicious black pickup truck near the trailhead, though the only identified owner was cleared. While unsubstantiated, the report of a scream on the evening of January 7th aligns with this theory's darkest implications. Theory 2, voluntary disappearance or runaway scenario. Another theory considers that Lena may have chosen to disappear voluntarily, perhaps to escape pressures unknown to outsiders. While those closest to her rejected this idea, it remains consideration. Proponents of this theory point to several factors. Lena was an intensely private person, often withdrawing into her art and writings. Some interpret this as a sign of internal struggle. The lack of phone use or bank activity following her disappearance could indicate deliberate steps to sever connections. Her early departure from school under the pretense of a dental appointment may suggest premeditation. However, contradictions arise. No note, message, or indication was found to hint at plans for departure. Her family insisted she was looking forward to college and did not exhibit signs of distress. The risk involved in hiking a snowy trail alone in winter without notifying anyone seems uncharacteristic. Emotional perspectives. Janice Whitmore stated in a 2005 interview, "I cannot believe she would leave me like that, without a word, without a goodbye. But sometimes people keep things private, even their families don't know." Some friends have speculated that Lena may have sought solitude to deal with personal issues, potentially planning to resurface later. Yet no credible sightings or contacts followed. Theory 3. Accidental death by natural causes. Given the location and weather conditions on the day of Lena's disappearance, a third possibility is that she succumbed to the elements, hypothermia, disorientation, or a fatal accident. Supporting this theory, the half-mile boot prints indicate she traveled into the woods but did not return. A marshy, frozen area nearby is known to be hazardous, especially under snow cover. The deep woods and dropping temperatures could cause confusion or loss of direction, especially for a young person hiking alone in winter. Despite multiple searches, no remains or clothing were ever found, though dense forest and wildlife activity could explain this absence. Challenges to the theory. Survival experts consulted in the investigation noted that Lena was adequately dressed for cold weather and likely had some outdoor experience. Searches were conducted within days of disappearance, reducing the chances that remains could have been overlooked, though terrain and wildlife could conceal evidence. No personal effects, such as her coat or sketchbook, were found in the area. Theory 4. An unspoken or supernatural explanation. While not endorsed by law enforcement, some locals whisper of more extraordinary causes. Rumors of haunted forests, ancient curses, or paranormal activity around the Selkirk Mountains occasionally surface. In folklore, stories circulate of lost souls wandering the woods, a chilling notion that resonates in a community struggling to explain the inexplicable. These theories remain outside official inquiry, but illustrate the psychological need to find answers, even if they defy reason. Conclusion: the unanswered question. The disappearance of Lena Whitmore resists simple explanation. Each theory brings its weight of possibility and its shadows of doubt. What truly happened to Lena on that cold January day? Was she the victim of a cruel abduction? Did she vanish by choice, lost in a maze of youthful secrets? Or did the wilderness claim her in silence, leaving only questions behind? The case remains open despite time, marked by missing pieces, unanswered calls, and a mother's hope that endures beyond reason. What do you think happened to Lena Whitmore? Was it a tragic accident or something far more sinister? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel for more in-depth investigations into mysteries, disappearances, and the darker corners of human experience.